Hello, our fellow true crime enthusiasts, and welcome back to our current episode here of Morbid Instinct, where now we have went back and we are doing the second season of Catching Killers that was on Netflix. And this one, we're doing the first one of season 2, which was called Bind, Torture, Kill, BTK. And I think that's kind of one that a lot of people would recognize. They would either recognize BTK or they recognize the name Dennis Rader. I think it's a pretty big case, probably international. I know it's a huge one in the US that most people know about. So that episode just kind of talks about his crimes, and it mainly focuses on how they caught him, which I know me and Colette were saying that that's our favorite part of true crime is really how did they find out who did it, and that kind of thing. So we have here our usual suspects talking about it: Elaine, Jeremy, Colette, and Josh. Jeremy. So just a little bit in case anybody needs a refresher or maybe doesn't know. So this case is a man named Dennis Rader, and he's commonly or best known probably as BTK, which stands for Bind, Torture, Kill. He was a man that lived in Wichita, Kansas, and basically he has been linked to, I guess his crimes basically started in like 1974 through like 91 was like kind of his first killings and things that went on. And then he basically decided in like early 2000s, 2004 kind of time frame, he decided to play a game with the cops.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's air fryer, I think. If it was the beeping noises.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, so around 2004, because I guess we're not sure what he did between 91 and 2004, or he did things that we're just not sure what he was doing. But basically, around early 2000s, like 2004ish, he decided to play some games with the cops, started sending letters and things to kind of drum up the his cases again. And then, as we'll talk about further, he basically got caught from doing all of that. So he basically got his 10 minutes of fame or whatever kind of thing. So anyway, the first thing I do want to say is talk about somebody that's a true, basically killer hiding in plain sight kind of a thing. Cause most people kind of thought I guess most people kind of thought he was a little strange, but they kind of thought he was just a normal guy living life. He was married. He had 2 children, had a regular job working for the city, that kind of thing. And then turns out he was also,
he was a family man. And
so
yeah, nobody thought anything about it because he was a family man. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody else wants to kind of start and go, or
well, I just thought it was odd how he wanted all this recognition by sending letters, sending all these like word searches and all this. I don't even know where to begin with that. Here he goes killing people and he's making a game out of it. It's like,
yeah.
Well, it's kind of crazy because he obviously got away with it for a really long time because his cases in the 70s, 80s, and all that basically went unsolved, and he was on nobody's radar of anything. And then he just decides all of a sudden,
and they were all different
2004
too.
to start sending, like Colette was saying, a word search with weird words to the cops to kind of like basically drum up his crimes again. And that's when they started to investigate.
And his crimes were all different
and
too.
They were trying to figure out.
One time he's killing a whole family, and then and then
that was his first crime in 1974.
Killing younger girls. I didn't understand where his head was at, but these serial killers, you don't understand where their mind is at exactly.
I think that's why it was harder for them to catch him too at first, was because it was hard to link him. Because like most of the serial killers that we've talked about on the podcast, they all have a certain way of doing things, where like a lot of the killings are about the same, like the whole time, and this is the only one that was like very different at each time. And it seems like what I perceive out of it is that he did a lot of this and then he stopped for a while because he was getting in the news and he was like, oh, well, I think this should be fun. And then years later, then he was like,
They forgot about
nothing,
it.
forgot about him. So then he was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do this. Kind of reminds me of the Zodiac, but the Zodiac was smarter, obviously, if he never got caught. Like,
Yeah, but I kind of feel like I feel like BTK
yeah, I
though, I
think
feel like
essentially
he
he
wanted to
wanted
I
get
to.
caught.
agree.
Because he was getting away with it, then he was falling out and nobody was talking about him. And I kind of feel like he was like,
Yeah.
oh
I
no, I
agree.
want to be known for what I did. And
Well,
so
yeah,
he kind
because
of
when he was
Oh
ultimately
yeah,
caught, he
once
basically just let everything go.
yeah. I
So
mean,
that's why I'm like, he
and he
wanted
wanted
to
to
be
tell
known,
somebody.
Yeah.
and
He wanted to tell
that's what I
somebody.
feel. Well, that's what I mean because
Mhm.
he nonchalantly
For
described
hours.
everything to the cops when they caught him. It was like he literally just flooded them with
Well, and
explicit details
like
of
Colette was
everything.
saying, so his first killing was he killed a family in 1974, the Oteros. So he killed the mom and the dad and a little girl and a little boy. And the girl was, I'm trying to think how old
11,
she was 11.
I believe.
And
She
Right?
he
was
particularly,
hung.
they were talking about how she was found, she was hung from like a some kind of pipe in the house. And so he was sending his letters, like his first letter was all encrypted, and then he started then he sent him a letter saying, did they find his packages? Which his packages ended up being cereal boxes. So he had left
A Home
one cereal box
Depot was
like
one of them.
at a certain place, like on a
In the
highway,
truck.
and the second one was Home Depot. But the first one that they found on the highway, remember, it had a doll inside that was tied to like a pipe. So he was basically telling them that, like,
Yeah.
I'm the one that killed that family.
Yep.
You know, just kind of. And then he just did some, and I don't know, I was going to say some dumb things
I
to
think
get
he
caught,
probably
but now I'm
did it
kind of
on
like, I don't know,
purpose
did he do it
because
on
he
purpose?
wanted,
I mean,
like,
because,
people were forgetting about stuff that he did. And then,
But I think it was we talk about it on every single one of these almost how narcissistic these guys are or people are. And I think he ultimately may have wanted to
yeah,
get caught,
yeah,
but
Exactly.
he wanted to
I
see how
agree.
far he
Yeah.
could stretch it to where he wouldn't get caught. So like he was saying, okay, just like Zodiac does with the encryption in his writing and stuff, but like he was doing it in these puzzles, right? And it just so happens that the very
Yeah.
last letter he wrote, he screwed up
well,
with
not only that, because when
the
they
DNA.
found the,
Yeah, but
because
it was
remember when
DNA
they went to
related,
Home
wasn't it?
Depot to ask about if they had somebody had seen a cereal box, and the guy said he did, and he took it home, and then he was able to tell them exactly what day and time he found the cereal box, and then they were able to go to the video cameras that they had at the time
A blurry
Depot, and they were
vision.
able
They
to
couldn't see.
his car
It.
driving. Yeah, but then when the IT
Exactly.
people looked at
Yeah.
it, they knew that it was a Jeep Cherokee. So they were like,
But
okay, so
wasn't
we're
there DNA
No,
on the envelope he sent?
because they got that through the daughter.
I
No,
thought
there
was.
wasn't anything on the. No, there was no
Yeah, but that's
evidence
how
on the
they.
letter. They were hoping there was, but there was nothing on the letter.
Oh, maybe that.
Exactly.
Well, that's right.
At
They got
college.
familial DNA from the daughter, but where was the DNA at? One of the
Ooh,
murders?
I'm not
Was it
sure.
the semen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
They
think
had
it
to
was.
have had his DNA somewhere because.
it could have been one.
But I'm pretty.
One of the
I'm
other
not sure if it
girls
was
that
the
he had killed,
Oteros.
Catherine Bride.
Because they found his semen near the little girl's body, I think, or Mrs. Otero.
Oh, it could be. It could
Yeah,
be.
I think it was from the Otero. I think it was from the first murder.
Yeah, they just didn't. They couldn't
had
link it
DNA.
to anybody because he wasn't
But of
in the
course, at the
system.
time,
Yeah.
So
yeah. But they linked
that's
the
why
car,
when they
and
found the
then
letter, they were hoping there was
he-
DNA on the letter, but there wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the note in the cereal box at Home Depot said
Yes.
something about sending a floppy disk and it shouldn't be traced. And he wanted to be contacted or something through the newspaper, so they sent or he sent or put something in newspaper about being called Rex or something, and then they put something in newspaper telling him it would be okay, like the floppy disk. So he sends a floppy
Oh, yeah.
disk, And then the thing that was on the floppy disk, they found that it came from the church that he attended and that it came from somebody named Dennis, remember? And then they Googled that church and found that he was the president of the
Yeah.
congregation.
And
Wow.
should
His
we
name was Dennis
mention what
Rader.
a floppy disk is for the younger people in the crowd? I'm just saying. Like, because
I don't
Go ahead,
think I
go
have
ahead,
one.
Josh. What is a floppy
I don't
disk?
think I have
It's
one
an
to
old
show.
thing,
I know.
but
I'm like, I don't
it's
think I have
kind
one,
of
but
similar to zip drive. That's also young for or too old for you guys, but kind of like a flash drive, an old ass version of a flash drive.
Well, depending upon the type of floppy drives you're talking about, they have 5
Yeah,
1/4
I guess if they had the big
that are
ones.
bigger ones, and
Yeah,
then they
yeah,
have
that
3
were
and a
like
half that
yeah,
are
hard
like this
ones.
big.
Yeah.
But they went in.
Yeah, you
But they
slide
went
them
into
in
your
your
computer and you saved stuff on them.
Yeah. Yeah, you would save all your
So now
documents or
yeah,
whatever.
like
everything's
on
digitally
hard
saved
drives or like
on your
through
hard drives,
floppy
but
disks or not floppy disks, but USB
or even
drives.
flash
Yeah,
drives.
Yeah.
You guys know what flash drives are.
Yeah.
It's
This is
it's
before flash
basically the
drives.
new
Yeah.
version of flash drives or the old version of flash drive.
Yeah. But then they were able to go to his house,
Yeah.
remember? And then they
And
found
then they
the
didn't
Jeep
arrest
Cherokee in
him
the
then,
driveway.
right?
yeah,
Or did they?
yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They had
Because they said they didn't
conclusive
have enough.
evidence or whatever.
But they did find out that his daughter went to Kansas State. And I guess they have like a.
And she
Some kind of
gave her
clinic or something there.
DNA, so
And
they
somehow
had
they-
it on record.
Yeah. So
And
they
they-
were able to.
That's another thing we were talking about, how advanced the DNA is, that now they can link suspects or to their family. It doesn't have to
the
be their
genes,
DNA.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that in itself is amazing. So things are advancing, especially in the forensic world for police officers.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Like we were
it's
saying,
hard.
how do people
It's
even get away with
very
anything
hard.
nowadays? Because with all the cameras, the DNA stuff.
Well, because DNA, they can use it on the littlest amount
Yes.
now too. Like
Yes.
literally, you can touch something and there's skin
Yeah,
cells
it's that touch DNA or
that
something
come
they have
off.
now.
It's touch DNA. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like you literally can't do anything anymore. So unless you're incredibly flippant, like to the
You
point
have to
where
be the.
I
You have
just
to
don't
be
know. I
like
mean,
more.
everybody's getting caught now when
Moriarty
they do things.
or whatever, where you're thinking about every possible like thing. You got to have gloves on. Yeah,
You'd have to
be
wear long
completely
sleeves,
covered.
gloves,
You
cut your hair
yeah.
off. I
Well,
mean,
that's what I'm
You have
saying.
to
You
like
would have
shave your
to
whole
be.
body, I would think. I mean, you know what I mean?
that's what I'm saying. You'd have to
Yeah.
have.
You don't want any kind of hair fall
You'd
off.
have to have no hair on your body.
From any part
I
of your
mean,
body. It's like,
long sleeve pants, socks up to your
biohazard suit.
knees,
That's what you need to wear.
boots,
A
Yep.
gloves on
biohazard
your
And then
suit.
you have
hands.
Well-
to
You'd have to be
Yeah,
covered.
it's
Some
like,
people have
there would be
taken-
something.
And then not
Yeah.
only that,
Yeah.
not seen on any cameras.
Exactly.
Not have a cell
Not
phone.
drive your own
Yeah.
car, not take your cell phone
Yeah,
anywhere.
Because even
I mean, it's
burner
like,
phones said they could still
it's like-
triangulate
it's like-
your position and stuff.
yeah, it's like holy hell. I just
Well, I was just thinking in our own neighborhood.
that's
I
how
mean,
stupid some people are.
I
Yeah,
mean,
everybody's got
everybody
ring
has
cameras.
the cameras. So, I mean, even my whole neighborhood, they'd be able to see where I'm going, what I'm doing, when I come home, leave. Like, you couldn't,
it's
I
like-
mean,
But yeah, I mean, this dude was just crazy, though. I mean, he seemed like the normal guy, but when you look back at his history, right, from a young age, he did sadistic sexual things where he, and then he exhibited zoo sadism, meaning he
Oh.
tortured, killed, and hung small
Man.
animals.
that
He
reminds me
acted
of-
out
what's his name,
sexual
the
fetishes.
cannibal guy
And
did the same
cross-dressed. He often spied on female neighbors while dressed in women's
He
clothing.
must have had a
yeah, he
thing
did all
with
types of
strangling
shit growing
people
up.
too,
But
because
had to, yeah, that's probably his thing. Definitely.
Well, yeah.
One thing that he liked doing.
One like during his cooling off period between the killings, he would take pictures of himself wearing women's clothes and
Wow.
a female mask while he was bound.
Mm, yeah.
So he was into the stuff that he was doing to the people, and he later admitted that he was pretending to be his victims as part of a fantasy. So he's
Yeah.
just he was a strange person.
Well, I remember I was watching another.
Well, I mean,
another show
obviously,
at one
when you
time,
kill
and
10
they were
to 12
talking about
people.
him, and I remember they were talking about how they had interviewed like a lady that had worked with him at the city or something, and She did say he was like kind of odd, but
Not they.
he
She didn't
wasn't
think he
anything
was
that
harmful
would,
to
like,
others, probably.
Yeah.
yeah, he was just an odd guy. But it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of people that are just kind
Yeah,
of
there's a
what you
lot of
consider
people that are
odd. I mean,
weirdos,
that's or
but that doesn't
that
mean
wouldn't
that they
harm
ain't gonna
anybody.
hurt people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they wouldn't harm anybody.
do the same stuff that
No.
this guy's doing. Nope.
Yeah.
Well, what I really thought was odd as well is even the detectives that were listening to him for hours upon hours when he was confessing. It was like
Oh yeah, because they said he
they
just went
wanted
on
to
and
be
on and
done
on.
with it as well. That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
they were sick of hearing him just talk about his crimes like it was nonchalantly,
It was
like
no
it
big
was
deal. Yeah.
yeah, and in a cocky way too.
Well, that's why I think he really wanted to get caught and he really wanted his famous, because they were even saying that he just went on and just, yeah, like you were saying, so
He
cocky
wanted to
about it, and
release
it's
it.
like
He wanted to
just wanted
release
to
Yeah.
it.
get recognition for his, yeah, and he wanted the recognition
Yeah.
that I did
Yep.
this. This
Yeah.
is my
And
biggest
it
thing
was
of my
like he
life
was
that I
proud
did.
of it. Yeah.
I want my fame
Like
for it.
yeah.
Well, and I've said it before. I find it hard to believe that anybody that does stuff like this wouldn't be. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but it's like if you're able to perform acts like this, you really don't
Mm-hmm.
have
True.
empathy. You don't have remorse for
Viciously
anything
like
you
this,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, because
You
you wouldn't
don't.
hurt
I
people.
think it's fake. When they say that they're remorseful, they're not. They're doing it to get. If you get to the point where, in my opinion, if you get to the point where you're able to do
Yeah,
stuff like
because
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
you don't care about anything. You
he
don't care
he
about
murdered 10
and
10 people.
so
He was guilty of murdering 10 people. Yeah, that's not just one
And
person.
he probably
yeah,
killed more people too that they just don't know about.
yeah. Oh yeah, well that it's
I mean, the one thing, at
those
least when they told him that they had his DNA through his daughter, at least then they said, just go ahead and say who you are, and he finally just
Yeah.
said BTK. He admitted that that was him.
Well, he knew he was busted by that point.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to release him.
Yeah.
They knew they had the right guy. So,
Yep.
and I think, like we discussed before, I think at that point he realized that he was caught and he wanted to share everything after that. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he was proud of it. Like,
Well-
oh yeah, I did this and I got away with it for all these years. And
well, I thought it was crazy. His very first murder that they talk about is
Yeah.
the Otero
Yeah.
family, where he killed 4. He
Yeah.
killed mom and dad and then 2 kids, but there were 3 older children that were at school at the time. So
oh, I didn't realize that part.
yeah, that's how their bodies were discovered by the family's
Oh.
3 older children.
Oh my gosh.
So literally there were 7.
Yeah.
That could have been 7
Yeah.
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 if they were all at home.
Well, and it is interesting because a lot of, like, if you hear, it's like they like work their way up. So yeah, it is interesting. It was like 4 right off the bat.
And it seemed like it seemed planned because he
That's brazen.
went to the back, he cut the phone line, he went through the back door. I mean,
Well, yeah, he confessed to killing them, and he
Wow.
claimed that he first
see,
targeted
so
them
that was
2 months prior to killing them.
premeditation
spotted-
right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when he spotted Julie leaving to take her kids to school and followed them. And then, like you said, on that morning, he cut the phone lines and entered the house when Joe, the son, opened the
Oh,
door
wow.
for the dog.
Mm.
He told the family that he was a wanted man in California before he ordered them to lie on the living room floor at gunpoint. Then he led them into a bedroom and bound
So
them.
I thought
with
they
rope
were
he
his
had
first
bought.
murders. I guess not. If he was wanted for something,
Or he
before.
was just telling them that yeah.
Oh.
No, he
that
just
way
said
they
Oh,
just
scare 'em?
probably to
I
scare
don't
them.
know.
I think he
yeah.
was trying to scare them.
But-
I think.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
trying to
Scare
say
tactic.
that way they complied with him.
Wow.
Yeah, that they would do what he told them to do. Yeah.
But yeah, if you read the details, they didn't really go into the specifics of the murders and the.
Well,
thing,
they just
but he
talked
did some
about
bad
the
stuff.
girl, but I think that was more because how it tied to that doll in the cereal box. because he was tying himself back to that particular case. But yeah, he did. I mean, he
did
killed
it
the
say
family,
how
which
he
included
killed the
children, and he
family? I
killed,
know
like, an
it
older
says that he
woman.
hung the daughter, but
Well,
because
I was getting to that, but so he covered the dad's head, or Joe, with a plastic bag. But after he chewed a hole in the bag, another bag was tightened over his head, causing him to slowly suffocate. And then he attempted to strangle the wife, but she woke up and asked her to save the son. So he took the bag off, and uh, then he strangled her to death with a rope, and then he placed another plastic bag with 2 T-shirts and an additional bag over the son's head, and suffocated the boy, and then led the daughter down into the basement where he hung her from the pipe with a noose. But it seems like he did something near her body, because that's where they found his semen.
Well, yeah, because he's a pedophile too. Yeah. It sounds like.
And then after that, that's when he wrote the letter that he stashed inside an engineering book in the library, describing the killing of the family.
Yeah, because remember, at one time somebody came forward and targeted this other guy. Remember, and they went over to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
And at first, the cop thought that they found the right person because he had an engineering
and he had
book,
rope.
And remember, he came to the door with like a knife in his hand,
tight
and was being
rope.
all weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had rope in the house. Yep.
Yeah.
So they thought, "Oh, this is the guy," but then the DNA didn't match, and they were like, "Ugh." Okay.
But I mean, when you read about you guys were talking about at the beginning that a lot of his were different. When you read the cases, they really weren't.
No, I meant by the family. He killed a family.
Josh was talking about the different type of people. Like it was a family with kids, and then there was like an older woman that I think was in her 60s or something.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess who he was targeting, but how he was killing everybody was pretty much the same.
No, I was just saying like the type of people that he was going after. It wasn't like he was going after.
It was kind of like
women.
What was the one we? It was like the Night Stalker. It reminds me of the Night Stalker, where he just sees people, random people, like just different kind of people. Like he didn't have a type. Basically, there was no type to it. It was just like whoever he decided at the time to target or whatever. This is what that kind of sounds like too. That he just found people that were vulnerable, and then because he killed a brother and a sister.
Well, he didn't kill the brother. So that's what I was reading, was that the second murder, the 21-year-old Catherine Bright, he broke into her house through her screen door, but her brother Kevin was there. Her 19-year-old brother was there. So he transported Catherine to another room and tied her down after forcing Kevin to restrain her with a rope.
Oh, man.
That Rader had brought. He attempted to strangle her before stabbing her 3 times. Because she was struggling too much. But Kevin was also strangled and shot in the head, but he survived and later escaped. So that's got to be survivor guilt too on that. You can imagine. But then, later on, he killed a 25-year-old Shirley Relford. He located her by following her 5-year-old son to her house. Which is weird because I guess she hadn't been feeling well, so she sent the boy out for soup. Yeah. You sent your 5-year-old?
Okay, but that was 1977.
I know, but still, your 5-year-old?
Well, maybe she was sick.
But I'm just saying, they say back in the day,
maybe she couldn't go out for herself.
People did that kind of stuff. Yeah. They sent their young kids to do things.
I know, but I couldn't imagine. I just probably wouldn't eat. I don't know if I'd send my 5-year-old out to. Go get something. I'd call somebody like a brother or sister or a parent or something before I'd send my 5. I'm just saying that. Anyways, I'm not saying it's her. It was her decision to make. It just kind of surprised me. But yeah, he entered their residence and pulled a handgun out, and then tied up her 3 children and locked them in the bathroom. And then, he strangled her with a rope after placing a bag over her head. But in that case, he did not. He intended to kill them, but they were able to leave before he could do it. So So he would have. That's another one where he could have. What
Did he kill Shirley though?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And he strangled her.
And then another 25-year-old Nancy Fox. So it's like when you go down the list, in this one he cut the phone lines before breaking into her house. So he kind of did the same thing every time. He strangled her with a belt.
Well, I tell you, this guy deserves to stay in jail for 175 years.
Oh yeah.
Well, it sounds like even in the 70s he was sending letters.
Yeah, these
letters
were all in the
and stuff to,
70s.
like,
That's
media.
what I'm saying. Then he had a big break. It was
Yeah.
like after he killed the 63-year-old that you guys were talking about, Anna Williams.
Yeah.
Actually, he didn't kill that one. She escaped death by returning home much later than he thought. And then Maureen Hedge was found in 1985 on a street. He killed her on April 27th,
my birthday.
and took her body to the church where he was the president at. And he photographed her body in various bondage positions.
Yep.
Well, yeah, he dressed in dresses and stuff too. So
yeah,
he was messed up.
Then 2 women he stalked in the 80s, and one he stalked in the mid-90s had restraining orders against him. And then he strangled a 28-year-old
God, it makes you wonder how he was at
Weggerly in
home.
1986 with a.
You know, I mean, his family didn't see any signs of this going on. I mean, geez.
Yeah, I know, right?
The final victim was
I mean, I don't
62.
know.
That was probably the one you guys were talking about. The Dolores Davis that was found dead on a street in Kansas. He strangled her with pantyhose. So he moved to pantyhose near the end. He was suspected in a bunch of other ones though.
Well, the only difference really
it's
between
crazy.
him and others is the games he liked to play with the police.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like I was saying, even in the 70s, it looks like he was sending letters and stuff, you know, claiming responsibility to like radio stations or TV stations and stuff. But I guess they just couldn't figure out.
But
you know,
but so in contrast, this is the other thing I wanted to point out. Remember we were talking about Aaron Key in the previous episode where he got convicted of 3 murders and he got 3 life sentences. It was like 400. How many years?
His was
400?
rape and murder,
407.
Yeah, but it was 400 and something years, right?
Yeah.
Total. Well, this one he was convicted of 10, and he got 10 life sentences for 175 years. So this is what I was talking about. That's interesting that he only got, 175 is still 175, but the other guy got 400 and something years for 3, and he got 175 for 10. It's like 17.
Well, I wonder if it's how they acted, how they responded to things in court and stuff like that too. Because
17 years per.
You know, that makes a difference too. You know.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying it's just strange to me.
The other guy, if they're doing a bunch of rape and stuff too, I mean, it's just because they can stack stuff and they always.
He got first-degree murder.
He
10
got
counts.
first-degree life imprisonment without possibility of parole.
Well, I mean,
the other guy got 3.
Really, it's not like anybody's
first-degree murder for 3
anyway, depending on their age. But yeah, it's weird.
But
the
it's
number.
Just,
yes,
I was just pointing out that
at least he got life imprisonment without possibility of parole.
Yep.
So regardless, he's never getting out of prison. He's going to die.
Yeah, I was just pointing out the difference in years.
I know
thought
what
it
you're
was
saying.
weird to me that one was 3 murders.
I wonder if it makes a difference in the state too, because they are different states.
More than
likely.
I'm
guessing too. Yeah, because every law is different and how they can stack stuff and how they.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. So.
It's another guy that was in the military at one point.
Else. This guy was like, I'm sure seemed normal.
Well, he was a Cub Scout leader, remember? And he was a president of the church that he went to. The church council that he attended.
Well, he wanted to seem normal. That was the thing.
What the heck?
Yeah.
But yeah.
He liked to blend in.
I was going to say, maybe he
obviously.
did all that just to make him look like a regular guy.
His double life thing.
Exactly.
Hiding in plain sight. Yep. Yeah, it does make you wonder, though.
I mean, how can you go out and kill somebody and then go home and just be all good and all, you know,
lacking empathy and stuff, man.
Yeah, but again, these narcissistic people, I can tell you, can be like that.
I would say, narcissistic people can probably, what is it? I can't say that word. carp. No. Yeah, no, we
I
can't say
think
that. What's the
a
word where you put it in the
compartmental.
different boxes,
No,
like in your brain?
compartmentalized. Yeah, there you go. I was
Compartmentalized.
trying to
Yes, I
think.
think
I
they can.
knew
Yes, they
what
can do
word she
that
was
very
trying
well.
to
I
say. I
think.
just couldn't think of it too.
Well, I can't say because I was watching this clip on like TikTok or something the other day, and they were talking about that word, and it's like just from watching that, all of a sudden I was like, no, I can't say the
Sometimes you
word.
could think and you could say
I
the
was like,
word
what's
in
the
your
word?
head, and then
I
it's
think they
like
can do
as
that.
soon as you're speaking it, you can't do it. Like
Yeah,
I've
but I
done that
can't.
with a few words.
But yeah, I think they can. But I think these serial killers and stuff must be able to do that because, I mean, how do you just like you said, Colette?
And
How
then
do
go
you just
home and eat
you go home
And
dinner
then
to
you
and
can
people,
take a shower
and then you go
and do
home and
all
you're
the
just like
normal
yeah,
la
stuff.
la la, family person.
yeah, eat
Let's
dinner
do
with your
family
family,
stuff and
and
let's be all
I
Mr.
just
Happy
don't get
Dad
it.
guy.
I don't know.
How do you? I
Well, I
mean, they must
mean,
just have no
most
feeling. I don't. I mean,
They
psychopaths.
have no
I
empathy.
think they say most psychopaths lack um, like feelings. They don't have remorse. They don't have like
well, yeah.
empathy. They don't. It's like they don't feel anything, and
Well,
that's one reason why they're able to do the stuff that they do. Is that they could do this stuff and just not feel bad or good whether or not you're doing it. Like, and I don't think they have a
I think they just don't
conscience. I
feel
So,
don't think
anything.
they
so
have
to
well,
anything that's holding them
Yeah.
back.
some of them have something wrong with their brain.
Well,
Like
that's what I'm saying. Is
like
like,
Ted Bundy realized that.
They
That's
have
why
to.
he
I
wanted
mean,
to
so
donate his brain to science because he knew something was wrong in his brain. You know, exactly.
well, because normal
There's
people don't
something
think like
wrong
that.
in
Or don't.
there
I mean,
that makes them do what they do.
so back in the when the trial happened, his court appointed public defenders hired Robert Mendoza, who was a psychologist out of Massachusetts, and they to determine if an insanity-based defense could be viable. And after conducting an interview with him, they diagnosed uh, Rader with narcissistic, obsessive compulsive, and antisocial personality disorders.
sounds about right.
He observed that Rader had a grandiose sense of self, a belief that he was special and therefore entitled to special treatment,
Oh, jeez.
a pathological need for attention and admiration, a preoccupation with maintaining rigid order and structure,
Mm,
and a complete lack of empathy. So that's
yeah,
so that kind of goes back to what I was saying, and it goes back to what every single
it's the
person
same.
that we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about on this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Mm-hmm.
is the same personality wise. I think they all, especially the narcissistic piece, that's a big one. I've seen it
And
in
they must
hmm
have
every
some
person
kind of
we've
drive,
covered.
especially in serial killers, because they keep wanting to do it again and again. So they
well, I mean,
must
it's
get
like,
some kind of
It's like an
pleasure from it.
yeah,
addiction of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the obsessive compulsive part. Like with him, it's like you got to do, with that, a lot of times you see it where somebody has to do something a specific number of times, but it also can go into like doing something
Mm-hmm.
a lot, right? So you can't just do that once, right? You have to keep doing it. And
I'm just glad he's off the
so,
streets and
anyways,
yep,
yeah.
yep,
oh,
I
bar
agree.
none. Unfortunately, and I'm not saying unfortunately for his kids, but
Yep,
you have to be
and
associated with him.
Well, it's like
I
I was
always
saying
feel
earlier.
like,
I saw his daughter on a show, and I feel so bad for her because I mean, her face is his face. Like she looks just like him, and I feel bad for her because
but I
I'm
mean,
like, how
just,
could you? I
yeah,
mean,
but to think my dad is
Mm-hmm.
the
yeah,
They have to
BTK
live
killer,
with
yeah,
that.
regardless of anything
and
else, you have
people,
to know that.
yeah,
Like, you have to live with the fact, and people in this social media
oh
age,
yeah,
she
yeah,
can't be on social media, man,
no, I
because
doubt no.
they would
yeah.
bug
They
the
would be
shit
like
out of
you,
her
yeah,
constantly,
They
even
would
though
want
she has
just
interviews
done
live
all the
with
nothing.
time.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she didn't do anything.
yeah.
I mean, guilty by
Well,
association.
even his wife, can you imagine? Because they were married for a while, weren't they? I mean, can you imagine being married to somebody and then you find out that they're a freaking serial killer?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, they got married in the 70s, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were married for like, because I think she divorced him like the year
yeah.
after he got
Well,
arrested or
wouldn't you?
something. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't
Wow.
know.
Yeah, they got married in 1971.
Yeah.
And then she
So
finds
they're
out
married
that he
all
was
this
killing
time,
people over there.
and
So she's like, "How in the hell did I
and
not
you're like,
see
oh, I
it?"
was married to a serial
Yeah,
killer.
she probably blamed herself.
Well, yeah, because you'd be.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you'd be thinking,
yeah.
what red flags did I miss? There had to be
Yep.
something that you just let slide or something. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
Well, she had to think
Yeah,
back.
probably
like, okay, he
things
left at this
woke
time.
up to her
it's like,
after he was convicted and everything.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably looking back at things.
But I don't blame anybody that's associated
Yeah.
with it not wanting to talk to anyone. I would stay
Well, that's their
away.
prerogative.
Like, I'm
Yeah, I
surprised the
know,
daughter
right?
talks to the media at all.
Well, I don't even remember what program it was, but that's the only time I'd ever seen.
I've seen her more than once on TV, but I'm surprised she does it.
But she gave me the sense that she was basically like, he's where he deserves to be because he's freaking killed people. I mean, what do you?
Yeah,
But
you
yeah, I
wouldn't
mean, I
want to
wouldn't
be.
want to be
say.
associated with
I
my
don't
dad
see
anymore
why
if he was
anybody
doing
would
shit
have
like
wanted
that.
been like, yeah, it's totally fine.
Goes back to what I was saying. Goes back to what I was saying in the last one, where if my brother or sister came, I don't have any sisters, but if my brother came up to me and said, "Kill this person for me," I'd be like, no. It'd be
Because
like
you have a
if my
conscience.
dad,
Yeah.
I found out he
And
was
you have
doing
empathy
some-
for
yeah.
people. It's
If
like that's
if
why
I
you
found
wouldn't
out,
do it.
yeah.
Well, that,
So,
and I would be like,
and I would
why would
expect
you
that
need to kill this
from
person
anybody
too? Like,
associated
why
with
would
me
you
if
need
I
to
was
kill
doing
this
stupid
person?
shit like that.
Oh, he did A, B, and C. Like, but
Yeah, like,
why
what's-
would there's not any other option to be able to solve this? Like literally getting away from the
Yeah.
person or something. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me in my head.
Well,
I know it's like the people that kill their
Yeah,
spouses all the
you
time because
could
they're just
just
trying to get away
leave.
from it. It's like you can't just
I mean,
divorce them or
people do
something.
that
Couldn't
all
you
the
just
time.
left? I
People
don't
just
understand.
leave
Like,
all the time.
you really had to
what
murder
kills
them?
me
Like,
is the ones that want to kill their spouse just for their children. And then
Yeah.
they lose their children anyway because they get caught.
Oh yeah.
And
So
then they
why-
try to
why
blame
did you
other
bother-
people for losing them
So then
too.
the children lose
Like,
Yeah.
both
oh,
parents.
you said something because of this. Like, you didn't deserve to have your kids if you.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just want them
Yeah.
because they don't want the other one to have custody or something. It's like,
Some
That-
people are just evil,
yeah.
man.
It's like, oh, come on. Because you're really messing up your kids. You're messing up your kids.
Now
more than
they
anything
don't
is what you're
have
doing
either
because
one of you.
Now they lose
Yep.
both parents because now they've lost the person that
Exactly.
died, and you're going to prison for life. So
It's a no-win
What good did that do?
situation. For sure. But anyway, this was a sad case again. And this is a serial killer guy, He
as
just
they all are.
he was a piece of work too.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
no remorse, no
Really,
Seems like
no
they
matter
all
who
are.
we're talking
I mean,
about are
so-
pieces of work anyway. It seems like that's the uh,
Oh, the next
thing
case.
about all of them.
The next one we're
Common-
going to talk
common
about.
denominator
Oh
or the
man,
common-
talk about
yeah.
a piece of work, both of them. So
Yeah.
Oh
The-
yeah. Oh yeah.
So
for sure.
with that, what is the
All right. So
are
with
we
that
done
one,
with this
Nope.
one?
we're good. I
Nope.
think. Does anybody else?
No,
have
I think
anything to
we've
say
said
about BTK?
enough.
Anything else? Are we?
So what
put
is
that
the
one to
next
bed?
one?
So the next one we're gonna go to episode 2 of season 2 of Catching Killers, and I believe it is called.
thrill kills.
Yeah.
I think it's the Phoenix serial killer.
Yeah,
Serial
Thrill
shooter?
Kills the Phoenix
Serial shooter.
serial shooter. Yeah. So that's a kind of
Yeah, I did not
hear
about it either.
About until I saw this Catching
No,
Killers.
at first, honestly, at first I thought it was one referring to when we lived there, because there was a guy that was shooting people on the highways and stuff when
Yeah,
when we lived
but
there.
this one happened.
Oh,
before.
okay.
But this one was actually before that.
It wasn't
So
this one, yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be the next one.
So that'll be the next one. So I hope you guys will join us for that one.
But yeah, so for everybody, if you guys have enjoyed the podcast and you haven't subscribed to the podcast on your favorite streaming, not streaming, but podcast platform, we would love to have you guys. Same thing if you guys are watching it here on YouTube and you haven't liked and subscribed to our channel yet, we would love to have you there as well. Go ahead and subscribe to all of them, because I mean, if you want to listen to it in watch it in video format, listen to it in audio format. It's available in both.
Or
Yeah.
if
As
there's
well
something
as
you want to hear
You
us
can
talk
always
about,
drop some comments and stuff.
yeah,
put
and
it down in comments and we'll check it out. We'll check it out and talk about it.
yep. And but if you also head to our website at theheartofgeek.com, you'll find all of our content there. Not only our podcast, but all of our other videos too. But with that being said, I think, Elaine, you can.
Yeah. With that being said, on behalf of our little foursome here in the Heart of Geek, we'll see you guys next time.